Hey guys, we're doing predictions for UFC on Fox, Holm versus Shevchenko. If you guys have been watching my recent videos, you know the drill. Follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Also linked in the description will be my prediction videos for UFC Vegas, Dos Anjos versus Alvarez, Tough 23 finale, UFC 200. Just did UFC Fight Night Sioux Falls, McDonald versus Lineker, and I'll probably also have UFC 201 Lawler versus Woodley by the time that this video is up. So check out all of those. Also, collaboration video for UFC 200 that I did with Best MMA Picks and MMA Savant. Check that one out. And I've been forgetting to do my most confident picks, but for my last couple of videos, I will update those in the description for those videos. But I'll try to remember at the end of this video to give my 5 most confident picks. But if I forget, I will put them in the description. So Holm versus Shevchenko, I think this is a stellar card. A little weak for a Fox event. It was supposed to be Rumble Johnson versus Teixeira, which is now on, I think, 202. But this is way better than the Lineker McDonald Fight Night card, I think. So I'm really looking forward to this one. But again, kind of weak for a Fox card, especially because there's no title fight. But yeah, let's get to it. So at heavyweight, Luis Henrique versus Dmitry Smolyakov. Smolyakov, debuting fighter. Henrique, coming off of his debut loss to Francis Ngannou, got cracked with that big uppercut, I think. But I have nothing to say about him, so let's just move on. All right, at featherweight, Jim Ayers versus Jason Knight. I like this matchup. Not guys probably too many people are talking about, but Jason Knight, I really liked his last performance over Tatsuya Kawajiri. Kawajiri kept taking him down and kept holding top position, but man, Knight was making him work. This guy has a really tricky, active guard, very dexterous. I really liked his guard work in that fight, and I don't know, I'm going to take him against Alers here. Alers had that win over Alan Omer in his debut. I thought he could have dropped the decision. I remember him not doing as well on the feet, I think, as Omer, but hitting some takedowns in that fight. And then his last fight against Cole Miller, before he landed the eye poke, I did not think he was looking particularly good. I don't know. I don't know about Knight striking if he's not able to get the fight to the ground, and Kawajiri really gave him that opportunity to grapple with him. Ayers hit some takedowns, but if he doesn't, keeps it on the feet, I really have no idea about Knight's striking game. But I just really like the guard work. He was very scrappy, and to do that well against a veteran like Kawajiri, in his UFC debut, I thought was pretty impressive. So I think Knight, somehow gets it to the ground, and from there, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of his game, what he can do there. So I'm taking Knight. Maybe not a very sound prediction, but that's what I'm feeling. All right, at welterweight, Hector Urbina versus George Sullivan. I think Sullivan's absolutely gonna smash this guy and just punch the living hell out of him. Hector Urbina had a really bad loss to Bartosz Fabinski, where he was taken down at will, held down, and then had a win over Edgar Garcia in his debut submission win. Really irrelevant, to be frank. Was on the Ultimate Fighter 19. Had a really terrible fight against Cathal Pendred. Sullivan, even though he had that pretty ugly knockout loss to Alexander Yakovlev in his last fight, other than that, he's been really consistent. A very scrappy, high volume, high pace fighter, not very technical, not big power, but tons of pressure, tons of forward movement. Mixes up the grappling with the striking well. And Urbina seems to come in, looking out of shape most of the time. I think Sullivan's just going to push that pace, get him down, be all over him like he was against Dominic Waters. It was that Brazilian guy from Tough that he smashed, knocked out from Mount. Igor Araujo. So, I think Sullivan's just going to smash him. Taking Sullivan maybe by finish, by decision, not sure, but I like him big here. He will be one of my most confident picks. At lightweight, Tony Martin versus Michel Prazeres. I feel like we've seen this matchup already before when Tony Martin fought Fabricio Camoys, another decorated jiu-jitsu guy, and he had no trouble, getting him down and locking on the Kimura. Martin's really a strongman grappler. A strong guy for the division, and gets you down like those power subs, the Kimuras. He got someone else with a Kimura, didn't he? But I remember when he fought Rashid Magomedov in his debut, had him in an armbar, and seemed pretty close to getting it. Lost that fight, and has definitely had his setbacks, against Leonardo Santos, Beneil Dariush. But Prazeres, even though he remains the only guy to get a win over Mirbek Taisumov in the UFC, I think the guy's just really been on a slide. Who was it? Valmir Lazaro, beat this guy in his last fight. A very lackluster performance from Prazeres. Kevin Lee beat him, and I expect him to do better in that fight. So I like Martin here. I think Prazeres just can't really handle when guys are able to match his pace and match his size and grappling ability. So I'm taking Martin by submission. All right, next up at welterweight, Kamaru Usman versus Alexander Yakovlev. I like Usman here. Yakovlev in his last fight against George Sullivan got a really brutal knockout, and that's the first time in his UFC career that I felt like he actually looked like he deserved to be there, and he looked like a capable UFC fighter. Other than that, the guy has just not looked good. I thought he even lost the fight against Gray Maynard. Fights against Nico Musoke, just got held up against the fence, out clinched for that fight, got outworked. Damian Maia, he had a late comeback against him in the third round, but held down by Damian Maia. I think Usman's going to have to be very careful on the feet. Leon Edwards was able to tag him a few times early, but Usman did a great job of adjusting and being able to get that takedown. And this guy's athletic. He's a real solid wrestler. He showed really good ground and pound, and being able to hit the submission that he opened up with the ground and pound against Hayder Hassan. So I like Usman here. Yakovlev just seems like he lets his opponents dictate the pace. Maynard was able to press forward and take him down in that fight. So I like Usman to get it done with the wrestling, but he will have to watch out on the feet if he's not careful. I do think Yakovlev could knock him out. All right, at featherweight, Darren Elkins versus Godofredo Pepe, and I think Elkins is just going to smash the shit out of this guy. Pepe loves to, play off of his back, pull guard, just fall to his back. That's basically been his UFC career, and I think he has been getting better. I thought the armbar win he got over Feely was really nice, but again, he dropped back for that, pulled guard. And who was this guy's last fight? Godofredo Pepe. Let me see here. Yeah, it was the Feely fight, which was a while ago. That was March of last year, so almost a year and a half, over a year layoff. While Elkins has been fighting, he's been really perfecting his, his takedown game. I thought he looked awesome against Chaz Skelly. Really good at nullifying submissions. I mean, if he could stay out of trouble against Skelly, Skelly never got in a dominant position, never took the back in that fight. If he could do that against Skelly, I think he'll have a very easy time against Pepe, who's a much looser grappler. Not technical in his setup. Just kind of jumps on things, without much setup. So I think, I just think Darren Elkins is gonna really smash this guy, dominate him positionally, and just pound the hell out of him on the ground. So I like Elkins probably for a finish. And go if you've never seen it, go check out Pepe versus Sam Sicilia, or even Felipe Arantes if you want to see him get pounded out trying to play that pulling guard game against fighters who could stop it. All right, at welterweight, Alex Oliveira versus James Moontasri. Another really fun matchup, but I think Oliveira is just a higher level fighter. Moontasri should be the more dynamic, unorthodox fighter, but I feel like that's all he really has. In his last fight against Anton Zafir, he got taken down, got outworked a little bit in the clinch, and I feel like Oliveira, not just being the more physical, athletic fighter, but he is, I think, the better grappler and wrestler. The submission win against KJ Noons. We saw him, even in a tough fight, he was still able to get the decision out wrestling, what was that guy, Joe, the black guy. I'm not going to look it up, but you guys probably know who I'm talking about. I think it was a model. But yeah, Oliveira, I see him having the wrestling advantage if he wants to take it there. And even on the feet, while Moontasri should be more dynamic, Oliveira, just with his more basic punches, I think is more effective. I think probably has bigger one-shot knockout power than Moontasri. We saw that in his Piotr Holman fight, even against Cerrone, was really putting the pressure on early. So I really like Oliveira here. Just a higher level fighter, and I think just kind of hits harder than Moontasri and will probably be able to connect first. So I like Oliveira. I think he probably gets a finish. I'll say TKO. All right, bantamweight, Frankie Saenz versus Eddie Wineland. You got to go with Saenz here. Eddie Wineland just hasn't been himself since the Yves Jabouin fight, which was that January of 2014 or 2015, I think. It's over 2.5 years, if I'm doing my math correctly. But I don't trust him to show up looking like his old self. Looked terrible against Brian Caraway. When you're getting thoroughly outstruck by Brian Caraway, I mean that's a sign that you just shouldn't be fighting. Had a really bad knockout loss to Johnny Eduardo, who didn't go on to really do anything after that fight. So Frankie Saenz, a really tough, gritty guy, high pace, presses the action, a persistent wrestler, really good, good dirty boxing, good in the clinch. I think he's just going to put that pressure on Wineland, and if he doesn't win a decision, which I think is at least what he's going to do, win a dominant decision, he might be able to get a finish. I just think Wineland is really done. Saenz almost beat Faber, I thought. It's not a guy who I think is going to get to the top or anything. Really could have easily lost the decision against Serwan Kakai, but Eddie Wineland just seemed very hesitant and shell-shocked in the Caraway fight, didn't let his hands go, got outstruck by a guy who was still a subpar striker. So I think Saenz takes a decision here, out-wrestles him, outstrikes him. All right, at women's strawweight, Felice Herrig versus Kylan Curran. This one's interesting. I think Curran, has kind of done enough to, avoid giving away a fight by, being too careless and getting subbed by an opponent off her back, like what happened to her against Alex Chambers. but I think Felice Herrig is probably better at that kind of game than Alex Chambers. Felice Herrig, even though she kind of got worked over by Paige Van Zandt, she still had some competitive scrambles in that fight on the ground. She submitted Lisa Ellis in her debut, not a UFC caliber fighter, but she is a capable grappler. She is really tricky and, very slippery on the ground. I feel like she could submit Curran. I feel like she could even, take her down if she really wants to press that advantage early in the fight and try to just take her down and submit her right away. But Curran, I actually forgot before I was doing my research for this fight that she beat Emily Kagan in her last fight. It's not the same level. I don't know if she's the same level as Alex Chambers or not, but I think Curran getting a submission win where she was really dominant. Actually, I don't know. I should probably watch that fight, making myself look like an ass here, but I feel like Curran might have been winning that fight early before Curran turned it up, but I don't know. Herrig seems limited to me. I don't think she has much of a striking game. Having only a win over Lisa Ellis, I don't think says too much. She hasn't really been an active fighter. Curran's young and developing. A good kickboxer. A diverse striking game. I think she can get it done here, so I'm going to take her. But I do think she has to really be careful for the grappling game of Herrig. And she can't just rush in on her and be careless like she was against Chambers, because I think Herrig is better at that game, catching people off of her back or winning scrambles. So I'm gonna take Curran, but I do think Herrig's a live dog. All right, at heavyweight, Francis Ngannou versus Bojan Mihajlovic. Who is a debuting fighter. Ngannou, this guy's a hot prospect at heavyweight, and I'm just really happy to see it because heavyweight and light heavyweight, you hardly get any really serious young prospects. But if this guy continues down the path he's on and keeps developing, I think he's going to be a title challenger at the least one day. This is really a guy to keep an eye on. Showed really good takedown defense against a collegiate wrestler in his last fight, Curtis Blades. Really precise striking. Not very powerful, but not really a brawler. I'd say he's more of a technical striker. Caught Luis Henrique with the uppercut, and then Blades looked more like a range striker kind of in that fight. He is a long guy for heavyweight. Takedown defense and accurate striking and big power. I really like him. I don't know Mihajlovic, so I won't make a pick, but definitely watch out for Ngannou. I'm very, very excited about him. All right, at lightweight, Edson Barboza versus Gilbert Melendez. I don't know. I don't really like this matchup. I thought Barboza would, get a more relevant fighter. Not a guy who has been out for a year and got busted for PEDs or whatever it was. I don't know. I could see Melendez having some advantages in this fight if he's able to play that game against Pettis, where he closes the distance, presses him against the cage, gets in on his legs, tries to work the takedown. I could see him having some success doing that against Barboza, who has struggled with guys who can come forward and who put pressure on him. Michael Johnson, Tony Ferguson, and Danny Castillo, Jamie Varner. Melendez, I don't think is going to come forward and stun him and hurt him, but come forward to get him against the fence, and then from there try to work takedowns. But Barboza's not a guy who's really been out wrestled. He has struggled against those wrestle boxers that I mentioned, but it's because he's been hurt on the feet, and I don't really see Melendez hurting him on the feet because he's just not a very dangerous striker. He is has decent combinations. He's a decent boxer, but not a dangerous striker. But I mean, that was the Pettis fight, and since then, the Alvarez fight, I thought he really looked, you know, not like himself. Could not deal with the pressure and the wrestling of Alvarez very well. I mean, it was a close fight, but couldn't get much done on the feet against Alvarez. So, in the middle of the cage in open space with distance, I don't see how Melendez is competitive with Barboza. Anthony Pettis was really tagging Melendez whenever he created separation, and we saw what Barboza really is just more technical than Pettis in their fight. So I think Barboza would have a huge advantage with space, with separation, and I don't think Melendez. I don't know. I don't know if he's the same guy. I don't know if it was Peds or whatever, but I don't think he's that same guy that fought Pettis now. So I don't know if he can play that getting on the legs over and over again, working for the takedown against Barboza. I think Barboza is probably the best he's ever been right now. I think still not as aggressive as he should be. Doesn't really chase the finish, but I think he's technical enough to outstrike Melendez, create enough separation to avoid the takedown attempts and get a decision here. So I like Barboza to outwork Melendez, get a decision. All right, and then the main event, a women's bantamweight, Holm versus Valentina Shevchenko. I've really liked what we've seen from Shevchenko. Looked great in the Sarah Kaufman fight. Lost to Amanda Nunes, but turned it up in that third round when Nunes faded. Was able to get on top of her. But even though she's a good technical striker, a good kickboxer, I don't think she's better than Holm. Even against Tate, Holm had a really good distance striking performance where she was able to just outpoint her and for the most part just keep her outside, and it wasn't until that Hail Mary takedown attempt and back take and choke at the end that Tate was able to have much success. So I think against Shevchenko, Holm can do the same. It'll probably be a pretty uneventful, not very exciting fight, but I do think Holm is just more technical, probably the better pure boxer than Shevchenko. But if Shevchenko is able to get inside, get her in the clinch, I think that's interesting, especially if she's able to get her down. I think Holm, her ground game is still questionable. I mean, she defended the armbar against Rousey, but against Tate, when she was actually put on her back and had her back taken, she kind of looked like a fish out of water. But I don't know if Shevchenko's that good of a grappler. I don't think she is. Could be a tough fight, but I just think Holm, striking from distance, she's probably one of the most effective fighters at doing that. So I like her to win a decision here. Okay, guys, that's it for my predictions for UFC on Fox. Holm versus Shevchenko. Again, check out my predictions for Dos Santos versus Alvarez, Tough 23 finale, UFC 200, Fight Night McDonald versus Lineker, and also look for the 201 video in the description. I'll probably be up by now. And the UFC 200 collaboration video I did with Best MMA Picks and MMA Savant. Yeah, guys, enjoy all the fights. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.